So hey y'all, hope y'all can hear me because I'm in transition right now. So I'm gonna try to talk loud enough so you can hear me. But I had a friend that asked me, how did I do it? As in, how did I move forward? How did I heal myself? How did I get the confidence that I have now? How did I do it? And I shared a few things, a few tips or whatnot. And it wasn't until later on that I had to put a few things in perspective. Because I was like, well, God, I noticed that when I say things or when I try to explain things, it seems so easy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I have to learn how to be more how can I explain it? I can't forget that because I'm out of the situation, it's easy to me, right? Because I've seen certain situations so many times, it becomes easy to me, or it becomes nothing to me. So I have to remember when I'm explaining certain things or when sharing certain things that I have to be more sensitive to certain things, because what is hard to another person, when other people are chained, are in mental prisons, it's not as hard, and they see things a lot different. We have different perspectives because we're both in different positions. Because my position is different, because I've seen it, but it's different from them, especially a particular person that's going through something when they're trying to break free from something, and when they're binded by something or whatnot. So not only that, I was like, well, God, I really haven't thought about the process. What was it about the processes that I had to undergo or whatnot? And he started to take me back on a few things. So the question was, how did I do it? As in, how did I move forward past the hurt, the pain? How did it that I was able to heal through certain things? So, like I said, having a conversation with God, because I was like, well, it's really hard for me to articulate what it is that I've been through and how I've got through it, right? And he started to give me, different events, different milestones in my life, different shifts, because every milestone is a different shift that goes on in your life, right? So when it comes to different things in my life that has went on, it wasn't until I dealt with the issue, the matter, the problem, the fear, because that's exactly what it is, the fear of something. Because the major event, basically, whatever major event that I went through in my life, whatever major shift, whether it was graduating from high school, having my first child, going, getting married, getting a divorce, breakups, whatever major life event, right? Major shift, because life events are shifts. There are events, right? Some things you can control, some things you can't. And most events you can't control, even though we try to, which is one of the main issues, that we fear things that we can't control. So, with that being said, especially if you're a control freak, you really gonna freak out when certain things happen to you beyond your control. And you might just set yourself through depression if you're not careful, because you so caught up into want to be able to control things, and you freak out when you see that you can't and it's beyond your control. So some things you have to learn how to surrender to the process and ride the wave. You have to learn. So going back into all the life events, every major shift, because life events, whatever major event you had, okay, in your life, it's a big shift. It's a shake-up. It's a change. A lot of people are afraid of change, okay? And it's not until I learned how to deal with change, how to surrender to the process and let things just flow. Because life is like a river. It's like a sea. You have to let things flow, run its natural course. And sometimes we try to swim, or we try to fight against the currents. We try to go against the grain, the waves, the turns, we try to fight against it. And a lot of times we make our job and we make things harder than what it could be or what it needs to be, because we're trying to go against things and we haven't learned to simply surrender to the process and let things naturally fall how they supposed to fall, or flow how they naturally supposed to flow, right? So that's what I've learned. You have two different types of people. And remind you what I said, that in every life event, every major life event, change, shift in my life, I noticed that the issue that came up, it was a pattern, the same thing, and it was fear. And fear triggers people differently. And you have two people. You have the runner, you have the chaser. You're either going to fight or flight, right? And a runner is going to flight. They're going to run away from the issue. They're not going to want to deal with it. In a fighter, you have two things that you're going to do. You're going to fight against whatever the issue is at heart. You're going to fight against it, and you're going to fight against it until you tire yourself out and you can't fight anymore. So when you can't fight anymore, then you naturally have to let a process flow. Or either you're going to fight against something, but you're going to fight smart and strategically, and you're going to let things just flow a certain way. So, I'm saying this to say, how did I get through the major events? How did I learn how to let go of things that were no good for me? Toxic relationships. How did I put myself in a position to move forward? By simply dealing with the issue at hand. And that was my fear. Because through every change, every shift, anything that's going on in your life, I promise you, is fear-based. And your ability to be resilient, to fight through things, to go through things, regardless of being fearful or not. Because some things you have to just fight blindfoldedly. You just have to walk through things. Because keep in mind, do I still get fearful of stuff? Yes, I do. I am human. But I understand through my years of maturing and growing that, hey, it's fearful to see you. It's fearful to reflect and to deal with you, to see your demons. Okay? It's the scariest thing you'll ever do in your life. But guess what? At this point in my life, I not only have to just deal with my demons through things. Because with me being who I am and what God has positioned me with dealing with things in my life and my purpose, I not only have to just deal with demons through things, I actually see them. So it's different for me. Because when people deal with them mentally, I actually have to see them and fight them. When other people just simply dealing with them in their mind. So, I have to remember when I'm explaining things and when I'm sharing things that what is easier for me, because I see things differently and I have went through certain things, are not as easy for other people. So I have to learn how to break things down and articulate things so I can meet people where they are, right? So we're going back to dealing with the demons. You have to deal with things that you are afraid of. That's what a demon is. And yes, they are very so real. They are real. But people are afraid of what they don't understand. And people choose to run from things rather than deal with things. And I used to be a runner, right? Until I had my aha moment and realized that whether I run from things or not, that I'm still going to be, whether I run from things or not, I'm still going to be, I was in the middle of a video.
Sorry.
Whether I run through things or not, I'm still gonna have to deal with that thing at some point of time, right? So I've learned to not run from things anymore. Because I know eventually down the road, the same thing that I ran from is going to surprise me and it's going to hit me harder down the road if I don't deal with it. It's going to cost me on a greater scale, on another level. So I might as well deal with it now, because if I don't deal with the issue now, then I might have to deal with it publicly. Or not only that, it might be bigger and it might cost me more than what it would have had I deal with it now. And a perfect example is think about a crack in the windshield. When a rock hits your window, if you deal with that crack, it will cost you less. All you have to do is go to the glass a shop and let it seal that crack in the window. But if you don't deal with that issue, that crack in your window shield, then guess what? That crack over time is going to get bigger. And now, guess what? It's going to cause you, because you didn't deal with that little crack that could have easily been sealed. Now, that whole crack and spread it against your window shield. Because guess what? The heat is going to cause that thing to expand. And now you're going to have to buy a whole window shield because you ran for whatever the issue was. You chose to run from it. Now that problem has got huge. And now it's going to cost you greater. When all you had to do is deal with it and go on, take care of it right there. But yet you chose to run from it. Now, not to undermine the runner, because it's still some things you have to learn over time. You have to learn over time to deal with things. Because like I said, I used to be a runner. But I'm naturally a fighter. So guess what? That natural part of me come up. And that fighter that's embedded in me, because I talked about it in another video with control, because I'm a natural fighter. So now it's like the tower of the mind, this prison, whatever I created for myself, it had to come down. That tower, some moments in your life have to come crashing down so you can reconstruct something. So you can get a better grip on things, and so you can understand things better and be reprogrammed, deprogrammed from whatever life or whatever illusion you have created for yourself. So it's easier to run from reality and get swallowed up in fantasy until you realize that whatever you created for yourself, whatever you running from, you can't run from it. It's going to find you wherever you go. It's going to show up in another person wherever you go. No matter how far you try to run, you will encounter that thing in another person. You will, no matter how you try to run from it. So I've learned to deal with things, because eventually I'm going to have to face it. It's going to be a face-off. And you're going to have to deal with that demon. And that's how I've learned. Okay? That's how I've did it. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be the hardest thing. The dark night of the soul is the hardest thing you will ever have to deal with. It's dealing with your demons and facing whatever it is head on that you have to deal with. So I'm not watering it down like it's not hard, because it's not. It's not easy at all. But because I'm on the other side of it, I can direct you and guide you. But some things people cannot help you through. So some things you can't even expect things for people to come save you on. You have to learn how to save yourself. Because God ain't going to allow nobody to bail you out. because it's through your trials, your tribulations, that you're able to see your strength. And just like the story, I forgot the story that it was with Abraham, that he wouldn't allow a certain amount of soldiers to fight in the war, because had he did it, they wouldn't be able to see that it was God. If it was too many men. So he gave them just a few, so they can know that when they came out of that thing, that it was God. So the same way, when you dealing with life and you dealing with things, just know that even when it appears that you're alone, you're not. But some things you have to deal with yourself. And even though it's a fearful thing, you be afraid, you have to just come into agreement and come into alignment with yourself, and that you can do it and come out of agreement with fear. Because it's only an illusion that you have created in your mind. Okay? So I hope this helped y'all. Just walk through it. Simply walk through whatever you need to walk through. And you deal with whatever you need to deal with, a day at a time. And before you know it, you'll be on the other side. And you'll be healed. As you walk through and as you face whatever demons you need to face. Whatever problems, whatever issues, however they might look for you. You heal yourself as you deal with those things. And that's true healing, by dealing with the issues and the things that you need to deal with. Well, all right, y'all, be good.